Welcome everyone to Morning Flow. We'll get going in about 3 minutes. Grabbing your water bottle, your mat, if you practice with a mat, doing whatever is right and good for you as we get ready to flow. Anyway, we'll see you real soon. About a minute. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Morning Flow. Lovely to see the sun this morning and some fresh air. Indeed. I'm going to open the window. All right. Yeah, it's time to go. All right, let me adjust the screen. As always, take care of yourself. I'll make suggestions, and they are suggestions. So finding the top of your yoga space. If you're working with a mat, the top of your mat. If you're not working with a mat, just finding a place to work that has a front, a back, and two sides. Finding our feet, from our feet, finding our legs. From our legs, finding our spine. Relax shoulders long through all sides of the neck. Without straining the neck, I'll suggest a slight tuck of the chin as we start to take our attention inwards. I'll invite you to bring your hands to your heart, a light press of your thumb against your sternum as we line up each finger. And we'll start just by watching as our breath flows in and as our breath flows out. Arriving here in our yoga space, ready for a morning yoga practice. From this place of just observing your breath, I'll invite you to shape your breath as you find a long, slow inhalation, matched by a long, slow exhalation. As you breathe in, finding a full body breath, bringing the air to the top of the chest, base of the belly, filling up each side waist, filling up both front and back planes of your body. As you breathe out, I'll encourage you to draw the low belly in and up to squeeze a little more air out. Also providing structural support for our low back in any of these shapes and any of these sequences. Welcome, Kathy. To this deeper, fuller breath, I'll invite you to move towards the Ujjayi or ocean breath, a slight constriction of the base of the throat to add a slight sound and feel to your breath. And as we flow through our practice, this morning letting the sound and feel of your Ujjayi breath Be a focus for your practice. Always coming back to that sound and feel, often compared to the sound of the ocean as the waves wash in and out. To this Ujjayi breath, this victorious breath, I'll invite you to add Jiva Bandha, tip of the tongue to the hard palate, just behind the teeth, trying to keep that connection throughout the practice, keeping our jaws relaxed and connecting front and back planes of our bodies. And finally, before we stretch, move, strengthen, and breathe, I'll invite you to add a slight smile to your face, a Mona Lisa smile, opening up the front of your throat so your breath has lots of room to circulate, refresh, and revitalize. Keeping all this, let's bring hands by our side. Let's go a little wider with the feet as we bring hands to the back of our hips, the fingers face down. And let's play with anterior and posterior tilt, so front tilt and back tilt. So I invite you to tuck the tail as we tilt the pelvis up in front, and then we'll lift the tail as we tilt the pelvis forward and down. So this would be a posterior tilt, tucking tail. Anterior tilt is when we let that tail fly up. Just back and forth, just stretching it out. Now, neither tilted forward nor back. Let's come to a neutral pelvis, tailbone heavy, hands by our side. From here, warming up our shoulders as we inhale the arms up and over the head, keeping neutral pelvis. On the exhale, hands by our side. 2 more times like this. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, arms down. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, arms down. Let's add a forward fold, half sun salutation. Inhaling up. On the exhale, keeping neutral spine, knees soft, folding. Now rounding the spine as hands find shins or bricks. Take a breath to lift chin and tail, so we're losing neutral pelvis. Now we're going to round again. Now finding neutral spine, neutral pelvis back ahead in line with sacrum, hinging at the hips as we rise on up. Now losing a little bit of a back bend at the top, and then on the exhale, neutral spine, neutral pelvis, hands by our side. So we're undulating the spine. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhaling up. Exhaling, hinging at the hips, leading with the heart. Rounding the spine. Inhaling, arcing the back. Exhaling, rounding again. Inhaling, setting neutral spine, hinging at the hips, coming on up, a little back bend at the top. On the exhale, standing tall. And let's do 1 more like that. Inhaling up. Exhaling over. Take a breath to find length. On the exhale, folding again. Inhaling, riding the breath up. Exhaling, standing tall. So Namaskare, I'll cue this first one without vinyasa. Inhaling up. Exhaling over. Take a breath to find length. And then on the exhale, folding as we ground down through the hands, stepping 1 foot back and then the other as we find our down dog shape. As we hold this down dog shape, I'll invite you to walk the dog as we bend 1 leg deeply, grounding down through the opposite heel. And then finding that same stretch on your second side. And then freely moving back and forth between the sides, just stretching it out, seeing how your body feels this morning, what feels tight, what feels right, what feels somewhere in between. From this place of movement, I'll invite you to move back towards stillness. Long arms, long legs, long spine, deep full breath. On the tail end of our breath, we'll invite you to bend the knees ever so slightly to lift the tailbone just a little bit higher, nice. And then looking between the hands as you step, or maybe take a jump to the front of your mat or yoga space. Take a breath to find length when you arrive. On the exhale, fold. Inhaling, riding the breath up. Exhaling, standing tall. This time I will cue vinyasa. Having said that, you don't have to do it. Inhaling up. Exhaling over. Take a breath to find length. And then breathing out, finding your down dog. Before you get there, maybe choosing to work chaturanga yoga push-up. Inhaling into cobra or up dog. And then exhaling back to down dog. In that yoga push-up, you can always use those knees. You want to keep the integrity of the back. You want to try to keep your neutral pelvis, your neutral spine. Again, in down dog, either holding it in stillness or feeling free to walk the dog as you pedal it back and forth between the two sides. Whatever feels right and good for you. This is your practice. If you chose to add movement, coming back towards stillness, long arms, long legs, long spine, deep, full breath. And even though we're physically relatively still, there's still a lot going on. We're breathing, our heart's beating, our mind's moving. And just by holding the shape a little bit longer, trying to find a little more space between each breath, each beat of the heart, each thought. From down dog, tail end of her breath, bending the knees ever so slightly to lift that tailbone just a little higher. Nice, beautiful sense of space in the lumbar spine. And that's not neutral pelvis. And then looking between the hands as you step or jump front. Take a breath to find length. On the exhale, fold. Inhaling, hinging at the hips, hands over head pose, Urdhva Hastasana, a little back bend at the top, that's not neutral spine. And then hands by our side, finding neutral spine. One more Surya Namaskar, we'll add on if you choose. Inhaling up. Exhaling over. Take a breath to find length. And then breathing out, back to down dog as you will, either cycling through vinyasa or just stretching straight back. Take your time. Vinyasa just means connected movement. Even if you're not doing a push-up, maybe you find a plank pose. Hold that for a couple of breaths. And then stretch it back to your down dog. So let's play with that second kind of vinyasa here. So, feeling free to stay where you are, generating more tapas or heat. I'll invite you to come forward to plank pose. And then on the exhale, lift those hips high as we come back to down dog. A couple more times. Inhaling forward to plank. Exhaling, taking it back. This next one, let's hold. Inhaling forward to plank. Exhale and hold. Inhale and hold. Exhale and hold. Inhale and hold. And then on that next exhale, lifting hips high and holding your down dog for another breath or so. Long, smooth breaths in. Long, smooth breaths out. Tail end of our breath, bending the knees ever so slightly, lifting the tailbone a little bit higher, looking between the hands and either stepping or maybe taking a jump front. Take a breath to find length when you arrive. On the exhale, fold. Inhaling, Urdhva Hastasana, hands over head pose. Exhaling, standing tall. Surya Namaskar B, we'll do two. We'll add a variation on our second one. It starts with a chair. Big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Sits bones down towards the floor, arms up and over the head. Adding an extra breath, exhaling, taking it lower. On the inhale, rising on up, a little back bend at the top. On the exhale, a big swan dive over. Take a breath to find length, and then breathing out, back to down dog, as you will. Either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back. From our down dog shape, certainly feeling free to stay there. I'm moving through Surya Namaskar B. Big toes touch, heels slightly apart, finding a three-legged dog, right leg high to the sky. So this is float style. High on the left toes, and then looking between the hands, bringing that right foot on through, spinning the back heel down, arms up and over the head for warrior one. And then on the exhale, spinning the palms out, finding low lunge as we spin that back heel up, and then back to down dog, as you will, either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back. Again, take your time, find your flow, follow your breath. From down dog, second side, big toes touch, heels slightly apart, left leg high to the sky, high on the right toes. Now looking between the hands as you sweep that left foot on through, spinning the back heel down, back leg long, back leg strong, arms up and over the head. And then on the exhale, back to low lunge. And from low lunge, back to down dog, as you will. Again, take your time, follow your flow. Working with your body, your mind, your spirit, just as they are, right here, right now. And a big part of the yoga practice is just finding that connection of the total self with those various pieces. From down dog, always feeling free to stay there. And there's also other possibilities, child's pose, all fours. Wherever you are, always feeling free to stay there. But from down dog, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Bending the knees, lifting the tailbone just a little higher, nice sense of space in the low back. And then looking between the hands as you step. Or maybe take a jump front. Take a breath to find length. Exhaling, fold. On the inhale, back to our chair, knees over toes, hands overhead. Exhaling, taking it lower. On the inhale, rising on up. On the exhale, neutral spine, hands by our side. Let's do one more Surya Namaskar B. We'll add a hip opening sequence into the mix. Inhaling into our chair. Exhaling, taking it lower. Inhaling, rising on up. On the exhale, a big swan dive over. Take a breath to find length. And then breathing out, back to down dog as you will. Either cycling through vinyasa or stretching straight back. From down dog, flow style. Big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Right leg high to the sky for the three-legged dog. High on the left toes. Without overly disturbing the shoulders, lifted leg straight as we stack the hips. Now bending that top leg, opening up that hip. And then looking between the hands, stepping that right foot on through. Spinning the left heel down, arms up and over the head for Virabhadrasana 1. And then on the exhale, back to low lunge. And from low lunge, back to down dog, as you will. Take your time, find your flow. From down dog, second side, big toes touch, heels slightly apart, left leg high to the sky, high on the right toes, without overly disturbing the shoulders, lifted leg straight as we stack the hips. Now bending that top leg, opening up that hip, and then looking between the hands as you bring that left foot on through, spinning the back heel down, arms up and over the head, and then on the exhale, back to low lunge, and from low lunge, back to down dog, as you will. Take your time, find your flow. Pull back, and then back to down dog. And again, you could always choose a child's pose, all fours position, always finding that balance between your effort and your ease. Wherever you are, always feeling free to stay there. Be it the child's pose, be it all fours, be it some other place. From down dog, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, bending the knees ever so slightly, lifting the tailbone a little higher, a little more space in that lumbar back. And then looking between the hands as you step or take a jump front. Take a breath to find length. Exhaling, fold. On the inhale, back to our chair, knees over toes, hands overhead. Exhaling, taking it lower. Inhaling, rising on up. On the exhale, neutral spine. I'll invite you to bring hands to your heart as your weight collects in your feet. And either holding this or adding an isometric engagement as we press the palms together, elbows wide, shoulders engaged, a tuck of the tail, a tuck of the chin, as we find strength in our center. And then hands by our side. From here, let's step or jump our feet hip width apart. On the inhale, we'll bring the arms out to the side, inhaling. On the exhale, crossing the hands in front, you might give those wrists a little flick. Inhaling up, and then finding the other cross. And we'll do 6. Halfway done. Last 2. Last 1. And then back up. And hands by our side. Let's either step or maybe jump it in, thin like a pin. Moving towards Surya Namaskar C, an extended standing pose sequence. We'll start with our chair pose. Taking our chair lower. Now finding the power chair, Ardha Utkatasana. From here, grounding down through the palms, and I'll invite you to play with your jump back if you have one. Otherwise, just walking your feet back as you either cycle through vinyasa or stretch it back to down dog. From down dog, big toes touch, heels slightly apart, finding a three-legged dog, right leg high to the sky, high on the right toes. Now looking between the, hang on. Without overly disturbing the shoulders, lifted legs straight as we stack the hips. Really push down on that side, yeah. Now bending that leg, opening up that hip. And then sweeping that right foot on through. Spinning the back heel down, we'll bring hands up and over the head for warrior one. From here, let's bring hands back to the hips as we shift weight onto the front foot and scoot that back foot back to get a little more stretch in our legs. And if that's not appropriate, don't do it. Finding a length of stance and a width of stance that works for you. Classically, warrior one is heel to heel alignment. If that's a little too narrow for your hips, you could always scoot that back foot out. We want to steer back hip front, front hip back. We're going to bring hands under our shoulders, relaxing and releasing those shoulders. Steering the heart front. Now finding a clasp of the fingers behind the head, pressing the head into the hands, open heart, open throat, and then stretching those hands high to the sky. With the breath, gathering up the energy, exhaling as we offer it out, finding these cactus arms of this letter W shape. Let's do that a few times. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Two more to go here. Breathing in, breathing out. Last one. Breathing in, breathing out, and holding. I'll invite you to bring the elbows back, the hands come with. I'll invite you to wiggle those fingers. And then turning warrior one into warrior two as hands find the heart. We open up the hips. We might kick the back foot in just a tad. Classically, it's heel to arch alignment, but again, you could always go wider. And then finding one long arm, looking out over those front fingers with a steady yet relaxed gaze. From here, painting 6 rainbows. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. 3 more to go. Breathing in, breathing out. Last 2, breathing in, breathing out. Last 1, breathing in, breathing out. Warrior 2. Now finding our rainbow warrior, a clasp of the fingers behind the back, shoulder blades back and down onto rib shelf, and then leading with the heart, just like in the sun cells, folding inside that front leg, and then rounding the spine as you relax the neck and heavy the head. Shoulders move up and back, up and over the back. In this one, I'll invite you to tuck the tail to find a little bit more stability in the shape, while keeping the neck relaxed and the head heavy.
Not possible.
Not possible? The energetic effort will bring benefits. So the pelvis is certainly constricted here. But maybe just try to find a little micro movement. Maybe try to untuck and then tuck and just feel how that feels. From here, moving towards a tuck, any amount as we tuck the chin to stretch out the back of the neck. Bringing it on up, lifting the chin tall through the crown as we come back to our warrior 2 shape. From here, moving towards extended side angle, backhand finds the hip. We ground forearm on top of the thigh, the palm faces up. 3 steps on the top arm, we can just let it hang down towards the floor, releasing any tension in the shoulder down through those fingers. From here, finding more space in the shoulders, we stretch that arm away from us, so we're perpendicular to our body. And now we're going to keep that sense of space in the shoulders. We sweep that hand front. Lots of space between that back foot, long through the leg, the torso, the arm, the fingers. You might think of an arrow in flight, your back foot, or the tail feathers, your leg, your torso, your arm, or the shaft. Those fingers are the arrowhead, flying towards infinity. From here, working that top shoulder, I'll invite you to flex the spine. You might tuck the tail a little bit here as we let that arm come down. And then on the inhale, lifting chin and tail, arcing the back as we stretch that arm front. And just back and forth again. Undulations of the spine, working that shoulder. One more time this way. And then taking it the other way, opening it up, inhaling. Exhale as we flex. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And then inhaling into extension. I'll suggest neutral pelvis, neutral spine here. And then moving towards our half moon if you choose. Hand finds the hip. We soften the front knee as we step that back foot front. Right hand well off to the right. Shifting weight into foot and hand. Now lifting back leg. Setting the shoulder, stretching hand high. Maybe spinning face to look up to the sky. Awesome, beautiful. Arm and shoulder work together. The more that arm opens up, the more that scapula moves back and down towards back heart. Take your time on the dismount. Hand finds the hip. We bend the standing leg, try to keep this hand down. You're going to bend, 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 bend. Now you're going to shift the weight into the feet. Coming back to your warrior two if you need to go longer. In the stance, no big deal. And then a big windmill of the arms as we stretch it on out, lifting back heel for low lunge. And from low lunge, back to down dog, as you will. Nice. As we hold this down dog, I'll invite you to bring your attention to your hands. Lots of space between each finger. Grounding down a little more predominantly between the thumb and the forefinger as we draw the energy up from the floor. From down dog, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail end of our breath, bending the knees ever so slightly, lifting the tailbone just a little higher. Nice sense of space in the low back. And then looking between the hands as you step or take a jump front. Take a breath to find length. Exhaling, fold. On the inhale, back to our chair, stay low. Exhaling, taking it lower. Inhaling, rising on up. On the exhale, neutral spine. I'll invite you to bring hands to heart, either keeping a light press of your palms as your weight gathers in your feet, or adding that isometric engagement as we connect with the strength of our center. And then hands by our side. So either stepping or jumping it hip width apart. We're going to inhale the arms up to one side. On the exhale, bending the knees, giving the wrist a little flick as we pass hands through center. Inhaling other side. And back and forth, we'll do 6. And a couple more each way. We'll do one for good measure. Feels so good. And then back up and hands by our side. From here we can jump it back in thin like a pin. You want to try to play with Bakasana?
Sure.
All right. So we're going to start with our chair. We're going to take it lower. We're going to find the power chair. Now feel free to hold here, maybe playing with your jump back as eventually we all meet in down dog. I'm going to cue Kathy through Bakasana, the crane, as we go wide with the feet. We ground down through the palms. Knees come towards or into the armpits. And if they're not in the armpits, you're going to have to hug the upper arms like crazy. As we start to shift the weight into the hands to float either one or both feet. Hug, 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 hug. Look at that. Awesome. Different ways to dismount. You could easily just ground those feet and walk it back to down dog, maybe cycling through vinyasa. Some of us may play with a jump back as we slide the knees off of the elbows. And that's a lot easier than it sounds. A lot of times we put too much effort into that. And I can't demo right now because I hurt my shoulder a few weeks ago. But one of these days we'll get right back to it. From our down dog shape, big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Finding a three-legged dog, left leg high. We'll try to keep the shoulders just as they are as best you can. We're going to stack the hips. We're going to bend that top leg, opening up that hip. and then looking between the hands. Sweeping that left foot through, spinning the right heel down, arms up and over the head for our warrior one. From here, we'll bring hands back to the hips. We'll go longer in our stance if appropriate, and also wider. Traditionally, the max would be this front leg is so far front, this thigh is parallel, and the heels line up. Most mornings, I'm not quite there, which is cool. When you find a place to work that works for you, in terms of your energy level, we can steer back hip front, front hip back. We can bring hands onto our shoulders, releasing and relaxing those shoulders, and steering the heart front. From here, finding the odd clasp to the fingers as we walk the fingers one over, hands behind the head, pressing the head into the hands, open heart, open throat, fourth and fifth chakra, community and communication, and then stretching those hands high to the sky. With the breath, gathering up the energy. On the exhale, offering it out. You might think about pulling silk threads out from the cocoon. Exhale. We don't want to rip those threads. Inhale. And exhale. Halfway done. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. Last one. Breathing in. Breathing out and holding. Elbows move back. The hands come with. I'll invite you to wiggle those fingers. Great go-to shape at any point in your day, whether on a yoga mat or not. Now turning warrior one into a warrior two. As hands find the heart, we open up the hips. We might narrow the stance for that classic heel to arch alignment. And then finding one long arm looking out over those front fingers with a steady yet relaxed gaze. From here, painting 6 rainbows. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Halfway done, breathing it up. Exhale it over. Last 2, breathing it up. Exhale it over. Last 1, breathing it up. Exhale it over and hold as we reach, reach, reach. And then moving towards extended side angle, backhand finds the hip. We park the forearm on top of the thigh, the palm faces up. 3 steps on that top arm. First, just letting it hang as we release any tension in the shoulder down through those fingers. Now finding more space in the shoulders, we stretch it away from our bodies, perpendicular. And then keeping sense of space as we sweep it front. From here, we're going to flex, so you might tuck tail and chin, rounded spine. On the inhale, finding extension any amount as we lift chin and tail. So we're undulating the spine as we warm up that shoulder. One more time. Exhale. And inhale. Now we're going to take it the other way. We inhale into extension. We exhale into flexion. Inhale. And exhale. One more time. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in and holding as we reach, reach, reach. Again, I'll invite you to feel length, 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 the tail feather, foot, leg, torso, arm, or the shaft of the arrow, the fingers of the arrowhead, flying to infinity. And then moving towards the half moon as hand comes to the hip. We soften the front knee as we step the back foot in, grounding that left hand well off to the left, shifting weight into foot and hand as we lift back foot up. We can set that shoulder, we can stretch hand high, either looking down to the ground, off to the side, or up to the sky, with that mixture of effort and ease. As we hold the shape with every in-breath, finding your center of balance. With every out-breath from that place getting bigger in space as we connect with the periphery of the universe. Coming down with grace and control, hand finds the hip. We bend the standing leg, low, low, low. And now shift weight into the feet. Coming back to your warrior two, and feel free to adjust the width of your stance or the length of your stance. And then that big windmill of the arms as we spin back, heel up for low lunge, and from low lunge, back to down dog, as you will. And again, take your time. In the midst of your effort, find your ease. And I love that. So Kathy's chosen a child's pose. Awesome place to go. Great place to breathe into the back, as is down dog, as we use the work of respiration to find a little more freedom, a little more space in our spines. Always feeling free to stay wherever you are. From down dog, long smooth breath in. Long smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, looking between your hands as you step. Or maybe take that jump front. Awesome. Take a breath to find length. On the exhale, folding. On the inhale, coming back to our chair, knees over toes, hands overhead. Exhaling, taking it lower. Inhaling, rising on up. On the exhale, hands by our side. I'll invite you to bring hands to heart, either keeping that light press of the palms or letting your weight collect in your feet. Enough yoga. You got to listen to your kids. Right on, Hadley. Deep, full breaths. And then hands by our side. So let's move. One of my Wednesday students loves the pigeon, the swan pose. So let's do 3 different versions. Yeah. So first version is a standing half lotus. So let's step or jump our feet hip width apart. I like to angle my toes out just a tad to give my hip a little more room. So I'm going to angle the toes out. Now if that's not for your hips, you keep the toes facing straight ahead. That's the classic X position. Shifting weight onto the right foot. Right knee gets soft. I bring that left ankle on top of my thigh. Whoops. Sometimes it takes a few attempts here. Sitting down in a chair. Hands find the heart. Hands either stay at the heart or we stretch those hands high. If it feels a little wobbly, try wiggling those fingers. High hands come back to the heart. Hard hands come back to the hips. We can straighten the standing leg as we lift left thigh, or lift foot off of thigh. Now left thigh high, toe faces down for the flamingo. From here, leaning a little bit forward as we draw energy into our energy center as we go long through the leg. Lifting that leg a little higher. And now we're going to sweep it on through as we come back to our warrior one prep, finding a length and width of stance that works for you. From here, we're going to steer the hips front. We're going to square the shoulders front. We're going to find that clasp of the fingers, pressing the head into the hands. Open heart, open throat. From here, finding a tray in front, breathing in as we gather energy into our center of balance. On the exhale as we offer it out. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. We got 3 more to go. Breathing in, breathing out. Last 2, breathing in, breathing out. Last 1, breathing in, breathing out and holding for a big breath into your heart. Again, this is a great go-to shape. You might wiggle those fingers. And now we're going to move towards a twist. Hand finds hip of front leg. We're going to find length on the far side, reaching up and then reaching out. Reaching up and reaching out. Reaching up and reaching out. 2 more to go. Reaching up, reaching out, reaching up, reaching out. Now we're going to find our twist. I'll invite you to spin the back heel up and ground that back knee. Unfurling the back foot, you might walk this front foot forward a little bit. We can start the twist with the wrist. We can slide to the elbow, either staying here or finding prayer hands. As you press those hands together, shoulder blades backing down onto rib shelf. I'll invite you to lift the chin ever so slightly. So we have open heart, open throat, 4th and 5th chakra, breathing into that sense of space, that sense of openness. So those of you hard chargers, if you wanted to, you could tuck the toes and lift that knee. If that's not where you are, just keep the knee down and just enjoy the twist. Everybody, I'll suggest coming to low lunge. So if you've lifted the knee, just framing front foot with both hands. If the knee is still down, we'll frame foot, we'll tuck toes and lift knee. Everyone meets here, and then back to down dog as you will. So let's move towards that swan. I like to call it the swan. It's a prettier bird than the pigeon. Big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Pigeons might disagree. Left leg high to the sky, right leg high to the sky, sorry, Kathy. High on the left toes. Now we're going to sweep, so let's open up the hip first. So let's stack the hips, try to keep that shoulder down. Bending that top leg, that's it. And then we're going to sweep that knee towards the right elbow, and I'll suggest keeping the knee joint closed. Unfurling that back foot, walking that leg back, and then let's set shoulder blades back and down, just like in our cobra or up dog. And then keeping that sense of space, leading with the heart, walking the hands into extension. And take your time. Awesome. You're using the carpet to slide those hands. Great way to work. From this place, I'll invite you to rest the forehead onto the ground. And if that's not happening for you, you could always cross the forearms or make a pair of soft fists. I want you to find that third eye, that brow to physical connection as it relaxes the back of our head, our shoulders, waking up our center of intuition, it's the sixth chakra. As we hold the shape, either holding it in relative stillness or adding an action, and it's not a movement, it's just an action, as we energetically stretch the hips away from the midpoint, finding more space in the very center of ourselves. Everybody, if the arms are extension, just walking the hands back. Otherwise, just coming back to this place, hands under shoulder, shoulder blades back and down, open through the heart. From here, tucking the back toes, pressing into the hands, lifting that right leg up. I'll suggest giving the knee a little shake to release any congestion, any tension, and then coming back to our down dog shape, either holding that down dog shape, either walking the dog as you stretch it out, or cycling through vinyasa. And again, vinyasa doesn't necessarily have to be chaturanga. Into the up dog, back to the down dog. It might just be a plank pose that you hold for a couple of breaths. Just finding your body, breath, mind, and spirit connection. From our down dog shape, long, smooth breath in. Long, smooth breath out. Tail into that breath, looking between your hands as you step or take a jump front. Take a breath to find length. Exhaling, folding. Holding the forward fold as we go wide with our feet, catching opposite elbows and gently swaying ourselves from side to side. Now switching across to the elbows, keep swaying side to side. And then back to center, hands find the thighs for the assist, chin is tucked, pushing into the thighs as we masterfully stack our vertebrae one at a time. So we're not hinging, we're rolling up. Lifting the chin tall to the crown, feel free to do this with me as we find the measurement of our bodies, ears over shoulders, ears and shoulders over hips, ears, shoulders, hips over heels. From here, I'll invite you, to jump it in thin like a pin, and then back out as we shift weight onto the left side. Again, if you need to angle those toes out, we're moving towards standing half lotus, standing swan. Shifting weight onto the left, hands find the hips. We can bring right ankle on top of the thigh, sitting down in an invisible chair. Hands either stay on the hips or hands find the heart. Hands either stay at the heart or we stretch those hands high. And again, if it feels wobbly, feeling free to wiggle those fingers. From here, hands come back to the hips. We can straighten the standing leg as we lift this right thigh high. The toe points down for the flamingo. Feeling free to stay right here or leaning a little bit forward as we draw energy into her center of balance as we go along through that leg. Lifting that leg a little higher. And then sweeping that foot through, finding a length and width of stance for your Warrior One prep that works for you. Steering the hips front. Steering the shoulders front. Finding the unusual clasp of the fingers, pressing the head into the hands, open heart, open throat. And then finding that trait in front, breathing in as we gather the energy in. On the exhale as we offer it out. And we'll do 6, breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Last 3, breathing in, breathing out. Last 2, breathing in, breathing out. Last 1, breathing in, breathing out and holding. And again, I'll invite you to bring those elbows back, the hands come with, wiggling those fingers. Enjoy the stretch, and this is a great place to come to at any point in your day. From here, hand finds the hip of the front leg. We'll find length on the other side, so I'm working left and right. Breathing in, reaching up. Exhaling, reach, reach, reach. Breathing in, lifting up. Exhale, reach, reach, reach. Inhale. And exhale, last 2 here. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. Now we're moving towards the twist. I'll invite you to spin the back heel up and ground that back knee. Unfurling the back foot. And I usually find when I come to it from this place, I need to go a little longer, get a little more stretch in that back thigh. Finding a place to work, you want to keep knee over heel and in line with toes. We'll start the twist with the wrist. We can slide to the elbow, either keeping hand on hip or finding those prayer hands. As you press the hands together, shoulder blades back and down onto the ribs. A little lift of the chin as we breathe into 4th and 5th chakra. Feeling free to stay here. We're solidly grounded, so you could really work that twist. If you did want to add a little core engagement and a balance challenge, we can tuck the back toes to lift that knee. In this shape, back leg long, back leg strong. From the strength of that leg, finding a little more balance and a little more twist. From here, we're going to find our low lunge. So if you lifted the knee, you just have to frame front foot with both hands. If your knee's still down, you'll have to tuck the toes and lift that knee. Everybody meets in low lunge. And from low lunge, back to down dog, as you will, either cycling through vinyasa, stretching straight back, or making another choice instead. And that's the beauty of the flow practice. There's lots of room for personal improvisation. From our down dog shape flow style, big toes touch, heels slightly apart. Left leg high to the sky. High on the right toes. Without overly disturbing the shoulders, lifted leg straight as we stack the hips. Now bending that top leg, opening up that hip. And then looking between the hands, sweeping that left knee towards left wrist, and I'll suggest keeping the knee joint closed. Walking the other foot back, unfurling the feet. Setting the shoulder blades back and down onto rib shelf. Take that time, really just feel that connection. And then keeping that connection as you either slide or walk those hands front. And again, if your forehead doesn't easily reach the floor, feeling free to cross the forearms or a pair of soft fists. My friend used to call these potatoes. 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4. We were trying to remember that game last night. Feel free to comment if you remember it. We couldn't quite remember it. Now as we hold this shape, we've got that third eye, that 6th chakra connection. So we're relaxing the back of our head and our shoulders. Also waking up our powers of intuition. And then the other thing we can do, adding an action, not a movement, so the hips aren't going to actually move, as we stretch the hips away from each other, as we find a little more space, even if it's just on a microscopic level, in the very center of ourselves. And then breathing into that space. Our hips tend to get compressed as we sit. Anytime we can find more space in our hips, it counteracts the effects of what many of us do for many hours a day these days, or any days even before the whole quarantine thing. Those of you with the arms in extension, you'll have to walk the hands back. If your arms aren't in extension, just bringing hands under shoulders. Taking a breath. Again, just setting those scapula, open heart, open throat. And then tucking the back toes. Lifting the knee, finding your 3-legged dog. Left leg high to the sky. Take your time. Giving that knee a little shake to work out any congestion, any compression. And then grounding it on down, finding your down dog. Holding down dog, either walking the dog or cycling through vinyasa. And again, we've got different choices for vinyasa. Finding your flow, following your breath. always feeling free to stay wherever you are. From down dog, long smooth breath in, long smooth breath out. Tail into the breath, bending the knees ever so slightly to lift the tailbone a little higher, more space in the lumbar spine. And then looking between the hands as you either step or take a jump front. Take a breath to find length when you arrive. On the exhale, folding and holding. We'll go wide with our feet as we catch opposite elbows and gently swaying it from side to side. Okay, I'm going to lose my student, which is totally cool. Switching across to the elbows, keep swaying it from side to side. All good. And then back to center, hands on our thighs, the chin is tucked as we assist our roll up. Lifting the chin tall through the crown. Feel free to do this with me. Ears over shoulders. Ears and shoulders over hips. Ears, shoulders, hips over heels as we stand tall and breathe. Kathy has to get ready for work, so she's going to leave a little early, and we'll still go to 8:15. But as a closure for her, I'll invite you to jump it in thin like a pin. And again, if that's too narrow, feel free to stay wide. As hands find the heart, either keeping a light press of the palms or adding that isometric engagement. And for Kathy, thank you so much for practicing with me. Namaste. And we'll
I might come back for Shavasana.
She might come back for Shavasana, which is totally cool. As for us, we still got 2 more versions of the swan to do, which is a swan on our back. And
Oh,
so much
maybe
time
I'll
we have.
stay for Swana.
So from here, it's 8:04. Class is over at 8:15. So you
Okay.
got, if you can spare 11 minutes.
It's got 11 minutes.
11 minutes, you got it. We're going to step or jump our feet super wide, angling out the toes, hands find the hips, and we're going to rock it down into half squat. We're going to bring knees over heels, elbows find the inner thighs, hands find the heart. I'll invite you to keep rocking that squat from side to side. Coming back center, carefully finding an all fours position on the floor. Grounded down through 2 hands. I'll invite you to circle those hips for 1, 2, and 3. And then taking those hip circles the other way for 1, 2, and 3. Now back center, we'll trace a figure 8 with those hips for 1, 2, 3. Taking that figure 8 the other way for 1, 2, and 3. And back to center. From here, we're going to walk it back to a kneeling hero. Inner knees connect as we sit on our feet. One palm supports the other. If this is too much for your knees, you'll take the weight of the body out of the equation. As we sit, long through all sides of the neck, a slight tuck of the chin, as we start to bring our attention back inward. Just watching our breath as it flows in and out. Now, most of us have a preferred side to bring our feet off to. I'll invite you to identify that, and then go the other way as we examine our patterns of movement. So I tend to go to the left, so I'm going to go to the right. You might be like me, or you might be the other way. When we get to this place, 2 long legs in front, I'll invite you to give your knees a little love and consideration. We can take the heels of our hands to our hips, giving our hips a little love and consideration. And then bringing hands onto our backs, giving our low backs a little love and consideration. From here, let's do a long, slow roll down onto our backs. We can start from tall spine or neutral spine, back of the head in line with the sacrum. It goes along, not always, but here with neutral pelvis. From here, we'll tuck tail and chin, and we'll start to roll it on down. Now, either doing a free roll down, no assistance, or you can bend the legs and catch the back of the thighs as we slowly roll ourselves all the way down. From here, I'll suggest full body stretch, arms overhead as we lay the head down, big breath in, and then sweeping hands to a T, the palms face down as we walk our feet in. From here, walking feet in towards the midpoint. I'll make sure I'm still in frame here. As we bring right ankle on top of left thigh, we draw left knee in as we catch the back of the thigh or the shin. For the supine swan, the laying down pigeon. As we hold this shape, I'll invite you to gently rock it from side to side. Just releasing and relaxing your back, releasing those hips. And slowing the breath down. We're starting to move towards our Shavasana now. Starting to move away from effort towards ease. And then back to center. Releasing the front of the shin or the thigh as we ground down through that foot. Top foot stays flexed as we bring it off the thigh. Grounding down through 2 feet, just taking a big breath into your low back. And then we'll find that supine swan the other way, bringing feet in towards the midpoint. Bringing ankle on top of the thigh. Reaching through, threading the needles, we catch the shin or the thigh. And as we hug that knee in, just gently rocking your body from side to side. Yeah. You can want a sigh out through the mouth, go for it. Make sure it feels right, make sure it feels good. From this place of rocking, I'll invite you to come back to center. Big breath into your back. Now grounding down through that foot. Top foot stays flexed as you bring it off the thigh. Grounded down solidly through 2 feet. Bringing one hand on the belly, the other hand on the heart. And let's work a 3-part breath here. Breathing into belly hand. Breathing in between the 2 hands. Breathing into heart hand. Now breathing out from heart hand. Breathing out from between the 2 hands. Breathing out from belly hand. From here, let's find our happy baby pose. As we draw 2 knees in, we reach up to catch our ankles at the outside edges of the feet. That's it, yeah. And you want to do it, yeah, there you go. As we hold the happy baby, gently rocking it from side to side, massaging your kidneys, releasing your back, getting into those hips. And then back to center, holding the happy baby, just heavying those knees on down as you take a big breath into your low back. From the happy baby, I'll invite you to move towards your Shavasana, long through 2 legs, arms out to the side, scooting the head back as you flatten the shoulders. Releasing the tip of the tongue from the hard palate just behind the teeth. Tip of the tongue neutral in the mouth. A slight part to the lips, but still breathing in and out through the nose. Doing whatever else feels right and good for you this morning. Yeah, feel free to sigh it out. You might rock those fingers, circle those wrists. And then when you're done, just letting everything be super, super heavy. As we hold this shape, feeling as if the front plane of your body is falling into your back plane. And both planes of your body are heavying into the floor. Doing whatever else feels right and good for you this morning. I'm going to ring these yoga bells 3 times. At home, feeling free to stay in your Shavasana. For the purposes of this room, for the purposes of this class, I'm going to cue you out of Shavasana. But feeling free just to listen, to stay exactly where you are. I find after about 10 to 15 minutes, my shoulders relax, my hips relax, and I go somewhere else. But I'm still here. It's an interesting place to be. Very relaxing place to be. Ringing the bells 3 times. Moving your mind before you move your body. Just bring your attention back to your breath, watching as it flows in and watching as it flows out. Now inviting your body back to this time and place.
as you shape your breath with a long, slow inhale, matched by an even longer, slower exhalation. As we start to move towards a more relaxing, a more languorous breath. Long, smooth breaths in. Longer, smoother, slower breaths out. Now rippling fingers and toes as we invite more prana, more life force into our bodies. Now inviting that prana in towards center as we gently circle our wrists and our ankles. I'll invite you to add a little shimmy of the shoulders, a little shake of the hips. Intuitive movement as you lay on the floor. Whatever feels right and good for you as we connect with the most important teacher in the room, the teacher inside ourselves. Now moving towards Apanasana as you draw one knee in at a time, as your hands catch your shins. Back of the head stays down, using your thighs to gently massage your belly. As you gently rock it front to back, side to side. Again, just letting your body tell you what's right and good for you. Keeping the knees close in. Long to the right arm, rolling to the right side, letting that arm serve as a cushion for your head. As we share a long, smooth, slow breath here on the floor. I invite you to let that breath sigh out through your mouth, softening your shoulders, relaxing your jaw, softening the corners of your eyes. And then keeping everything relaxed as you push into your hands to come up and claim a cross-legged sit. As we sit, grounded down through our sits bones, hands find the knees, pulling back with the hands to sit up a little straighter, a little taller. A slight tuck of the chin as 5 fingers of one hand find the ground. The palm of the other hand faces the sky. Ending our practice as we started, watching as our breath flows in and watching as our breath flows out. From this place of breath awareness, I invite you to bring your hands to your heart as you thank yourself for practicing yoga. And then bow as we offer our practice out to each other and to the world. The light within me honors and respects the light within you. And in this light, we are one. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you all for practicing with us. Thank you, Kathy, for practicing with me.
Thank you.
And we'll see you all next time. I've picked up some live classes, so a little less online content, but I am doing a pop-up tomorrow. I've already announced this, so it's not really a pop-up, a chanting and breath class. It's in a chair the whole time, half hour. A nice mid-afternoon break if you have the time. Otherwise, we'll see you someplace else. And have a nice day. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste.